Order. Gentlemen, do we have any additions or deletions to our agenda?
You want to do the pledge?
Oh, yes, we'll do the pledge first.
He's hungry.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, Mr. Williams, but I've had him rattled very much. So.
It's been a long day. Okay, gentlemen, do we have any additions or deletions to our agenda?
No.
No, sir.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of last week?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll move into our action agenda, or our public hearing, Code Home Rule Bill 1-15.
Good afternoon. A few months ago, it came to staff's attention that commercial developers were having some difficulty meeting the parking standards in LaVale Code and County Code. They both require 200 square foot parking spots. We looked into the matter and found that our surrounding jurisdictions all allow smaller spots. The cities go down to like 8 by 18 feet, and Deep Creek Lake, Washington and Frederick County go down to 9 by 18 foot parking spots. County staff requested that the text be amended in County Code and LaVale Code to change it down to 9 by 18. The Planning and Zoning Commission had a hearing on December 10th, 2014. Mr. Ted Donald of Washington, Pennsylvania, representing Pentex Ventures, that's the outfit that's developing the Winchester Court on Winchester Road. He spoke to the commission, and he felt that because of the size and constraints of the lot, the plans to propose 9 by 18 and portions of that was a disadvantage for them. The one side, though, they're going to have 10. They're going to stick to the 10 by 12, 20, because he says supermarkets with the carts and everything, they want larger parking spots. He said that the prime space in his particular business, that kind of development, was 9 by 18, and it's sort of a national standard. Angie Patterson, the land use engineer, spoke to the commission, and she said she was happy about this change because county stormwater management actually requires a minimalization of the amount of impervious surface, and this would cut it by 10% per parking lot. She said basically the stormwater regulations in the county code were at odds with each other because the county code says 10 by 20, and this would minimize the runoff. And she had some evidence that the Potomac Conservancy had also recommended reducing it just to, improve the quality of the Chesapeake Bay. Angie felt it was both an economic and an environmental advantage to that. I think Jeff wanted to say something about this.
What did I say?
Something about a raise.
Yeah.
Very good.
No, I just wanted to echo what David had said over the last 2 years. I've noticed, with working with some of our commercial developers, that they were crying out basically that we weren't to the same standards to many of even our regional counties in the area as far as development standards on parking, and it's just we got to watch that we don't become, we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot, and we don't want to be at a competitive or economic disadvantage to anyone in the region. So, and I agree that this, and Mr. Donald agreed too, that the 9 by 18 is a minimum. If another type of use wants a larger type space, then we would certainly entertain that as well.
Okay, as a point of order, Mr. President, staff, this is a public hearing. Has anyone signed up to testify on behalf or opposed to this legislation?
No, there is not.
Anything else?
I would like to say that the Planning and Zoning Commission did vote unanimously to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the text amendment.
All right to vote on this tonight?
Not tonight. Next week is a legislative date, and you can take official action next week. Thanks, Dee.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Half of my vehicles won't fit in there now.
Okay, we'll move along to our action agenda, dealing with the 55th Annual Alhambra Catholic Invitational Tournament. We have Mr. Joseph Carter here, the General Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioners. I just want everyone to realize, and we want to thank you for your continued support of the ACIT. It cost a lot to put this event on. We don't make a whole lot, and the nice part about what we do make, the proceeds go to the developmentally disabled of our county and our area. We stay local with everything that we do as much as we can. But I think the economic impact of the county through restaurants and hotels and fast food chains and many other things are quite evident during the 3 days the tournament's held. Being that it's the 55th year, so for 54 years we have brought some of the best basketball players in the country to Allegany County so that our people can see them. If you're a basketball fan and you turn on the television, there's very few nights that someone playing either in the professional ranks or major college basketball has not been here. And you know, for all you Maryland fans, you had a chance to see Melo Trimble the last 2 years here. And he is one of the premier players in college basketball. And when you watch Duke or North Carolina or Notre Dame or Maryland or any of those other schools, someone has been here and played. And for our people to get a chance to see that is great for all of us, that's for sure. Just to let you know that you, the county commissioners, and the city of Cumberland are the sponsors, the co-sponsors of our coaches brunch on Saturday morning. And I hope that some of you can get there and see that, because it's one of the reasons why we keep doing this. I think when you hear these coaches who have been all over the country, taking their teams through Florida, Hawaii, Ohio, Georgia to play in major tournaments. And they call me on a daily basis wanting to come to Cumberland and Allegany County to play. So again, I want to thank you for your continued support. And the 55th year should be another great year. We have some great players coming in and some really, really good teams. So again, I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Gentlemen, do we have a motion to authorize County Finance Office to remit a $3,000 budgeted item to support the ACIT?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you
Please
very
come
much.
forward. We have a little something for you.
Hey, good to see you.
We don't line up according to height here. Okay, Allegheny County, Maryland official citation. Be it hereby known to all, this official citation is awarded to Alhambra Catholic Invitational Tournament, 55th anniversary, 1960-2015. Whereas Allegheny County government wishes to recognize the Alhambra Catholic Invitational Tournament, which is nationally recognized as a premier Catholic high school boys basketball tournament in the United States, and whereas the members of the Wamba Caravan number 89, Order of the Alhambra, envisioned and developed this basketball tournament and have ardently worked as volunteers for 55 years to host this impressive community-minded sports event in Allegany County, and whereas the Wamba Caravan number 89 generously donates the ACIT proceeds to help developmentally disabled young men and women in Allegany County. Now, therefore, we, the County Commissioners of Allegany County, wish to commend and extend our sincere appreciation, deepest gratitude, and warmest congratulations to everyone associated with the ACIT, past and present. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of Allegany County, Maryland, to be affixed this 12th day of February in the year 2015, signed by all three county commissioners, William R. Valentine, Creed V. Brody, and Jake Shea.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations again.
We might be able to get you a guest starting position on one of the teams there.
As long as my tickets are in the mailbox upstairs.
Well, they're not being made. As soon as I get them, I'll give them to you.
That's not true. That's
And now we have introduction of Code Home Rule Bill 215. Mr. Rudd?
Yes, this relates to the Rawlings Fire District. Rawlings, the people in Rawlings have been paying a fire tax since 1991, and with the demise of the McCool Fire Department, that district was divided up between Rawlings and I guess Tri-Towns or whoever got the other half of it. But in any event, Westernport, okay. So the new district now goes, for Rawlings, goes as far as basically the High Rock, where the High Rock Drive-In used to be. And those people are not subject to a tax. And of course, the people in Rawlings are saying, we're paying a tax for our services. And they have asked, that is the fire company has asked, to expand the fire district to include the new area that they just got from McCool. So this, that's what this does. It changes the description for the boundaries, makes no other changes, doesn't change the rate or anything else. This is an introduction. You can vote to introduce. There would be a hearing next week where people from the fire company and so forth would come and explain what they're looking for. So this is just an introduction.
Thank you. Item number 4, memorandum.
You need to
vote on that.
Somebody needs to vote to introduce.
Well, do we have a motion to introduce it?
just a quick question. This could be reversed and we could change the boundaries again if a fire department comes back into being?
Absolutely. You have, under Code Home Rule, have the right to expand, extend, or extinguish special taxi districts.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I hope that, well, I hope that the citizens of Rawlings will come out, because some people are not aware of what's going to go on here. So I hope that they come out and speak either way on this. So.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 4, which will be a memorandum of agreement for Douglas Avenue landslide project with the state of Maryland. Mr. Patterson?
Good evening. Tonight you have before you an MOA that I'd like, requesting you guys to execute. What this will allow will be the improvement of a slope stability issue along Douglas Avenue as you're traveling west towards Garrett County. The Bureau of Mines has obligated money to repair the slope. They're requesting county assistance to advertise, bid, manage the construction of the project. Any questions?
Any questions, Jake? Creed?
Good project, Adam?
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Patterson again on the Allegany Highlands Trail Valley Street underpass right away.
Okay, a project that's been in the capital improvement plan for the county for several years now. It will eliminate the at-grade crossing of Valley Street with the Highlands Trail. It is a definite safety improvement for the trail. With the help of Bill Rudd, we have a an agreement now between the county and the private property owner for a property swap. There's needed right of way for the realignment of the trail underneath the Valley Street Bridge. So tonight I'm requesting your approval to swap properties between the county and Jack Abel Incorporated, and for the county to pay any recording costs associated with the transfer.
This is a true safety issue for that trail, too. Gentlemen, do we have a motion?
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, sir.
Now, Mr. Barclay, front and center. This will deal with an option and sales agreement.
Yes. As you can see there before you, staff is seeking execution of an option sales agreement with Peak Harvest Health LLC for approximately 152,000 square feet of buildings 42 and 27 in the Riverside Industrial Park. Basically what we have here is a business prospect with a desire to enter into a study period or a due diligence period on buildings 42 and 27. And this is a common practice on the front end of most real estate negotiations where you have a due diligence process. This agreement would give right of entry for the prospect to conduct studies such as, but not limited to, environmental, utilities, structural, site logistics at the prospect's expense. And the agreement would also give the prospect an opportunity to give them some type of an assurance that they could seek purchasing the property at a later date, subject to the terms defined in the agreement.
Any questions?
None, sir.
Do we have a motion to accept this agreement?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Everly, you want to go over our consent agenda, please?
Commissioners, you have 4 items on your consent agenda this evening, items 7 through 10. Item 7 relates to our need to amend county's MOU with the Allegheny Highlands Trail to recognize planned improvements at the Frostburg Trailhead. Item 8 is a motion to approve the acquisition of 2 pickup trucks for our utilities division. Items 9 and 10 are seeking authorization to accept grants on behalf of the Allegheny County Sheriff's Office in partnership with Frostburg State University and the Allegheny County Health Department for underage drinking prevention and underage tobacco prevention.
Gentlemen, do we have a motion?
I have a question on item 10. Sheriff, could you come up here a minute? And I know that the county doesn't have to put any money into this grant or anything, but I know that it seems like the local businesses have been very good about not selling tobacco to underage folks, and I think that the report that I got, I don't know, a couple months ago when I came into office was there was 0, I guess, violations of that. Is that true?
We had numerous businesses within Allegheny County that were checked and were found to be in line with Maryland law. I don't know if it was every business, but the majority of the businesses that we tried, we may have only had a small number.
Right.
But one thing that we did a little different this year was normally the only time the businesses hear from law enforcement is when they're in violation of the law. In this particular case, we presented certificates of achievement, I guess you would say, to all of those businesses. I believe there was approximately 30 that we had actually checked that were in compliance and did not sell to any of the underage. So we made sure that they were recognized by the health department and also by the sheriff's department for that, because we think that's a plus to recognize those businesses for cooperating and helping us in achieving this goal.
Right. Great. Thank you.
Well, Sheriff, and I'll speak on that because it's something that's a little funny. You know, the place where I purchase a tobacco product, I get carded every week. And I thought it was because I just looked 21 or younger.
No, you don't.
But when I actually asked the manager, he said it's because they are regularly checked and they want to follow within the law, and they're very proud that they've been a year with no issues.
Again,
So,
I agree.
again,
I think they need to be thanked for that achievement, and that's what we tried to do this year. We tried to change a little bit instead of showing up only when we're going to, you know, file a charge or you know, whatever against them. In this case, we tried to provide them with a certificate of appreciation for their help. So I appreciate that. And no, you don't look that young. You look quite old, as a matter of fact. I will admit it.
Thank you, sir. I just recalled that I was 10 years behind you in school, but that's okay.
So, gentlemen, do we now have a motion to accept our consent agenda?
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Everly, I believe you have some correspondence to share?
Commissioners, we have a letter prepared for your consideration this evening. It relates to Senate Bill 642 and House Bill 155, which is the video lottery terminals issue for small minority women-owned businesses and the use of proceeds. Commissioners, this was an issue brought forward by the previous Board of County Commissioners before the delegation last December. And if it's okay with you, I can dispense and read this into the record.
Sir.
The letter is addressed to Edward J. Casemeyer, Chairman of the Senate Budget and Tax Committee, and the Honorable Sheila Hickson, who is the Chair of the House Ways and Means Committee. Dear Chairman Casemeyer, Chairwoman Hickson, in 2014, the Tri-County Council for Western Maryland received a $1.1 million grant to provide loan funds to qualifying small, minority, and women-owned businesses in Western Maryland. Current state code requires that 50% of the funds provided to the Tri-County Council must be lent to businesses within a 10-mile radius of the Rocky Gap Lodge and Golf Resort. The remaining 50% must be made available to qualifying businesses throughout the entire Tri-County region of Western Maryland. Given the limited number of businesses and population served within the 10-mile radius of Rocky Gap, we, the Board of Commissioners of Allegany County, wish to express our support for Senate Bill 642, House Bill 155 as amended, and ask that the radius restriction be lifted to allow these funds to be lent to qualifying businesses throughout all of Allegany County. The passage of this legislation is vitally important to assist our community in supporting the business development needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses here in Allegany County. Thank you for allowing us this opportunity to express our support on behalf of this legislation.
Thank you. Do you have anything else, Mr. Everly?
That's all I have, Commissioners. If you would sign that for me, please.
Mr. Rudd, do you have anything?
I have nothing.
I've heard that before. Commissioner Shea, would you like to make some comments? Oh, show and tell going to happen here today.
Show and tell. I can't write and talk at the same time. One issue that's been in the newspaper, and we got attacked for it. I guess it depends whether you call it an education session or an anti-fracking rally. It's in the eye of the beholder. The state has come out with recommendations on how I guess we could practice safe fracking here in Western Maryland. Their report shows that there would only be between 25 and 75 wells. Most of those would be located in Garrett County. Regardless, it would bring around 1,700 at the low end to 3,500 jobs to Western Maryland. Unfortunately, our regulations that they've decided to put in place, it's not a moratorium as much as they would like to get that eventually, is they're very strict. And even compared to our neighboring states, it's really something to behold. And so fortunately, our GIS department looked at all the regulations and did us up a map, and so it's based on how close you are to other dwellings, how close you are to water and septic tanks, and it also takes into account how steep the grade is. So this it almost looks like the opposite of a U.S. Cellular Verizon map. And So there's the western part of the county, and so the areas in white are the places where drilling could occur. And Garrett County has a similar map. It comes down to about 3% of the land could possibly have drilling on it. That doesn't mean there's gas or shale under that. That's just the areas that are available for fracking right now. So it doesn't look like that'll be moving forward with these current regulations. We'll see what happens in the coming months. Thank you.
Thanks, Jake. Great.
Well, I wasn't going to comment too much on that, but I'm going to anyhow, because there's the perfect example of a few people that don't live in the area, which I live in the middle of it, dictating terms to many. This country needs it, this county needs it, this state needs it. Nothing will move forward without energy, and I just think that this is ridiculous. I also received the email of why I didn't attend. I went to 2 of those rattlesnake fights. I found out there that they're against drilling, they're against wind, they're against, if you name it, they're against it. Except the only thing that they was really good at was figuring out on how to make everything work through a tax, which I disagreed with strongly. And I'm going to get off that right now because there's got to be another way to approach this. First of all, I'd like to thank Mayor Grimm for showing up tonight. Sir, one thing I would like to say to you is congratulations on your fight for crime. I think that you've been unfairly singled out, even though we all get letters all the time when someone gets arrested on why the commissioners set their bail, and then you have to explain to them that we're not the court commissioners. We don't do that. But, sir, I agree with your statements. Congratulations and thank you for attending. You've been a very good partner and supporter. So thank you, sir.
Okay, gentlemen, I feel that I need to share a dirty little secret with both of you. The lady that wrote us all the rather scathing letter for not attending the event at Frostburg, and also had the letter in the Times News, is our sister. So that's who wrote the letter.
Wow.
I have responded to her letter. I informed her that that the commissioners have routinely attended events that showed both sides of the story. I sat on the governor's study commission for over 3 years, and I listened to both sides of the argument. What was presented at Frostburg was strictly an anti-fracking rally, so that's not a place for us to be. Now, on the good side, I was in Indianapolis all day yesterday, up until midnight last night, actually, before I got home. But it was a good day. I testified on a bill that's been presented to start returning highway user funds back to the counties and to the municipalities. That bill seemed to have very strong support. A number of senators were signed on to that bill. We then learned that the governor himself is going to be dropping a bill on the return of highway user funds. So what I would expect to happen, the senator that had the hearing yesterday, he'll withdraw his bill to allow the governor's bill to move forward. But that says to me that Governor Hogan is definitely going to follow through on his promise, and we will be seeing a return to highway user funds. Now, in the governor's bill, it'll take us probably another 5 to 6 years to get back to the point where we were 8 years ago. So we're going in reverse forward, I guess you could say, back to the future. But at least we're starting to move in the right direction. There were a lot of good hearings, a lot of very interesting hearings in Indianapolis yesterday. But I'll be traveling down there every Wednesday, a couple Tuesdays to testify on bills. Jake is in Indianapolis Monday evening through Thursday, helps us keep abreast of what's going on down there. We're not separate from Annapolis. We may be quite a few miles from Annapolis, but they definitely have a very strong effect on us. We have to keep an eye on everything that happens there. With that, we'll move to public comments. Jackie Sams?
Thank you very much. Jackie Sams, Nemacolin Avenue, Cumberland. I just wanted to congratulate Terry Bennett and the Solid Waste Management Board for a very successful event with the e-cycling. Were you all in the line? Yeah, we said we were glad we got gasoline before we started, but it was wonderful. I think it was very, very successful, and I just wanted to mention this, that we received going through the line. I think this is also excellent with ideas for people who have things that they're trying to get rid of, with lots of options of where it can go. Everything from bicycles to medical equipment to crayons to pet things. And I think anything that can be done to distribute this would be very good. I'm very encouraged with the recycling thing, and happy for Cumberland's efforts too. We're very, very pleased with curbside recycling. And then I just wanted to mention that it had come to my attention that even though planning services is in the website in the departments, it doesn't, for some reason, doesn't appear on the organizational chart. And I'm sure that's an oversight. But I just wanted to mention that to you. As I know we're planning, and Mr. Dorsey, I'm in there for you. So I just wanted to bring it in.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie.
Mr. Kale, with regard to Jackie's first comment, we had an overwhelming response for that recycling event, and there were a number of people that, given the weather conditions that day, weren't able to make it out early, so they were unfortunately turned away in the latter part of the afternoon, given the response. So we are going to schedule at some point in time, and then we hope not too distant future, another event so that we could allow those folks to participate. So.
Okay, and we also have Kenneth Wilmot signed to speak.
I'm Kenneth Wilmot, live at 513 Ford Avenue, Cumberland, Maryland. I'd like to give my 2 cents on the footer building. I see no reason in the world why that building should be allowed to stand any further than it is today. It is absolute eyesore. It has been an eyesore from the day it was built. All the money in the world ain't going to make it any more than what it is. The millions of dollars that they want to put into it, I don't think that people, like we say, the people down at the other end of the state shouldn't have no say on what we do in Cumberland. This building does not add to the beauty of Cumberland. It's an absolute eyesore. Where are they going to park if they put all these things in here that the survey says that they're going to put in? There's no parking down there. The worst thing it does, it impedes the flow of traffic through that area. Tractor trailers who want to head south down through Old Town, Paw Paw, are shortcutting through Willbrook Road, Old Domestic Road, down that way. They can't make that hard turn down in there when you come off 68. I've watched tractor trailers. I live in that area. The money spent to renovate this building should be spent on something better. We have projects all over Allegany County, Garrett County. Roads need improved. Schools need programs. We speak about 1.8 million like we're pulling chocolate drops out of a candy bag. And you can pull all the chocolate drops out of the bag that you want, and it ain't gonna be no more than what it is. It needs, the only thing we need to do is spend about, I don't know how much it costs for the dynamite to blow that thing up and implode it and get it out of there. It is an absolute eyesore. And any kind of survey, we always have surveys for everything. That thing's a big joke, the survey that this developer put out. The only money that developer is going to put into it is our tax dollars. They want a grant here, they want a grant there. All they're going to do is spend our money. That's my feelings on it, and I don't think we should spend another nickel on it. Just blow it up and get rid of it. It'd be the best thing for Carmel, because half of Balmer Street is empty. Where are they going to get all this business that's going to go into this building? There ain't none. Balmer Street, I think, should come first, and I think that building should be taken out there so we can have a, when you drive through this, ain't nothing but a big old eyesore. People want to know what it is. Nobody knows what it is. So that's all I got to say about that place. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wilmot. Okay, the reminder for upcoming meetings, our next public business meeting is here in room 100 next Thursday, February 19th at 5 p.m. And we want to thank you all for coming this evening and hope you come back again next week. Thank you.
Thank you. On the web.
Well, you might tell her.
Yeah.
Getting together and looking at legislative issues we know we're facing, and we'll make decisions on which issues are going to be our primary issues. The way it looks, one of them is definitely going to be trying to get a return of highway user funds. I mean, we talked about the city of Cumberland struggling to do their streets. They've gotten some funding back, but very little. County's got no return of funds, so that's something we'll be looking at. Then after that meeting is our regular legislative meeting, which again we'll be looking at legislative issues with the other counties. Then after that, the MACO's come up with a new idea this year. They're going to be filming a video, and they'll have some of us there answering questions on what it was like our first year in office. And then this video will be offered to all new elected officials throughout the state. And they've come up with some very, very interesting questions. So should be filming that video along about 2 o'clock. And then that's time to break speed limits. I might need the sheriff to give me escort back, because need to be at Shooters at 6 o'clock for a meeting about off-road vehicles out there that evening. So it'll be a long, busy day.
Okay, Commissioner Brody. Well, first, I'd like to start again by thanking the sheriff for having his deputy here tonight. He's been bragging on him for several weeks, and so have we. And with that prestigious award and the award that Jason's department has won this year, it's a very hard job in local government because you're always in the eyes of the people. So I'm very glad to see some recognition. I think Allegheny County's got some of the best employees, or the best employees, of any county in the state of Maryland. Now, sir, with that being said, we do got some more economic development trying to head this way, and we're running into a little more problem again with the state highway. I made a phone call today to Senator Edwards over some more issues of some more projects they would like to stop or stall. So I'll keep you informed, because the only way I know to get this out there and get it moving is to get it into the public eye. And at this time, I'm not going to go into this at great detail, but it's an existing business that's looking to expand, which they had a deal that I set with State Highway about 8 weeks ago. And now they've decided to renege on said deal. And there's another one that's heading up the valley a little bit, and the developer is just scared to death to come in here and deal with the State Highway. So I'm going to try to get something set up with all of us that we can do a little preemptive, because I just don't know any other way to deal with this except right here and publicly. So that's all I have for this evening, sir, and I will keep you informed as we go forward with this.
Please do. Please do. Thank you very much. Announce that on October the 10th, the Rural Counties Coalition will be meeting down at MACO's boardroom, and we'll be meeting with the Sustainable Growth Commission that day to see how we can collaboratively work together in the state. Okay. Looks like we have Miss Becky McLaren sign up this evening. Welcome.
Thank you. Lower this for the short people. Last time I was here, we discussed what happened on McGill Drive to the 9 dogs that were killed. And I assured you that the foundation board would be making a study on what happened and what we needed to do to correct that. And beginning in mid-August, the committee met on a weekly basis. The committee consisted of Patty Collison, Kim Sullivan, Joe Wilson, Dick DeVore, Tina Rafferty, and myself. We did fact-finding, which included direct review of the animal shelter's phone logs and the animal control call sheets. We did personal interviews with personnel involved in taking the animal control telephone calls, supervising those activities, and all employees and volunteers directly involved with the McGill incident. We also made phone calls to citizens who could be identified as callers about the incident to confirm the information shared in the calls made to animal control about the conditions at 14707 McGill Drive. Our findings were, I think, fairly complete. 4 calls were made concerning the McGill Drive to the animal shelter public number. These calls were made on July 7th, July 8th, July 15th, and July 28th. 3 of the 4 calls were logged with sufficient information to identify the McGill address, but were not completed with information required by the protocol already in place. The original call on July 7th did contain all the required information. Different shelter workers answered each of the phone calls received. Animal Control Officer Lindeman was notified on July 7th about the call, but he did not respond to that complaint. Each of the calls were similar in the nature. Multiple dogs in the house located at that address, not being let out, house smelled bad, excessive barking. On August 12th, an anonymous call was received describing the house, and Animal Control Officer John Carden was contacted to post the residence, giving the homeowners 24 hours to contact Animal Control, which is a standard policy. Due to the heavy rain that day, he didn't leave the post. He was afraid that the notice would get blown away wet and no one would notice it. The following day, he did post it. After hearing nothing from the homeowners, Animal Control Officer Carden responded to the residence along with Deputy Wilderson, forced entry, and discovered 9 dead dogs and 3 dogs barely alive but alive. And those 3 dogs, by the way, are doing quite well. Our conclusions were the following. The animal shelter failed to respond in a timely fashion to the neighbors' phone calls. Upon review of the policies and the procedures of the shelter to determine what went wrong in this instance, we found incomplete phone logs and a lack of a tool that allows for quick identification of locations where multiple complainants were being filed were major issues, and we addressed those issues. There was an inconsistency in the phone log resolution. The logs weren't always filled out, or the messages were unclear. No written incident form other than the phone log or the citation was written. There was no required feedback to the original complainant. No division between animal shelter and animal control on the phone logs. There was an inconsistent review of the animal control logs to determine whether an action had been taken place or not. There was an inadequate phone system, and the phone lines were not being open until 11 a.m. So we made some immediate changes. The first one, an entire new phone system with a phone line dedicated and a phone number dedicated to animal control and a phone line dedicated to animal shelter calls. So now the new phone number, if anybody's interested, for animal control is 240-362-7518. An animal control employee dedicated to that phone line and the organization of all animal control information was assigned. A separate phone line just for animal control. And we have a new GIS system for animal control, which is really exciting, to us anyway. This system places an icon on a map indicating the location of the address of the complaint. It allows animal control to see if more than one call has come in for the same location, even if they've been made by different complainants. So if 4 people call and that address comes up, we'll be able to see that those 4 people have called. We have changed the phone call times. They now begin at 9 a.m. instead of 11 a.m. And the executive director, the shelter manager, and the animal control officer meet to determine action taken on every animal control call, and they review the phone logs daily, which is something that was not being done. We have other long-term policies and procedure recommendations that we are working on, and one is to improve customer service at the front desk and the phone calls. Every employee, especially those at the front desk, are receiving continuing customer service training. Management has determined the top 20 frequently asked questions and have given the answers to them. The questions and answers have been laminated and are at the front desk, available to all staff. This should decrease the number of inconsistent, incorrect answers given in person and on the phone. Members of the foundation will be randomly conducting follow-up phone calls to people that have called so that we know what kind of responses they're getting and what kind of customer service they're receiving. In order to establish a trail in the GIS system, we must insist that animal control complaints be handled via the telephone and be entered into the phone logs. Frequently, our complaints come through social media, private cell messages, private cell calls, and those don't get entered into the log. So it's really important that this community knows they need to call the number. If it is after hours, they need to call 911. And one of the things that we will be doing is creating a magnet with all the phone numbers and the information on it so that people can have it. We're also creating and implementing an animal control contact survey instrument so that citizens who have direct contact with animal control will be mailed a survey so that we can review what kind of experience they've had. So, gentlemen, thank you for your time. Would like to also say that Barktoberfest is coming up October 18th. Anyone who wants to volunteer to come and walk a dog, gentlemen, we certainly welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you bringing this incident report. Ms. Wilson, thank you very much. It is definitely a tragedy, and obviously you all have cited failures on our part, but however, you've come up with reasonable ways to correct those failures, and we can make sure that this doesn't happen in the future, and thank you again for that. So, Ms. Linda, if you would make sure that Mr. Summers, who was at our last meeting, gets a copy of this report as well. Both the media, you did get a copy? Okay, just want to make sure. Full transparency. So if you would just get that to him, I'd appreciate that. Okay, I'd like to remind everyone of our upcoming meetings. Next public business meeting will be Thursday, October the 9th, 2014 at 5 o'clock right here in room 100. And remind everyone of the announcement for the State Highway Administration Bowling Green Drainage Project meeting on Thursday, September 25th, 2014 at the Allegheny County Fairgrounds Multi-Purpose Building. And I'm sure the good delegate, Mr. Kevin Kelly, will be there. So that's at 7 o'clock. Thank you very much for this. Yes?
You don't meet till after that. The Great Allegheny Run should be third Saturday in October.
Okay. To participate. Yeah, well, there's some.
Great Allegheny.
It's a run and not a roll, right?
Did you say someone needs to drive the backhoe? The backhoe. Maybe we get one of those segways.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what, you gonna tell me there's a weight limit on those things too?
You know the guy that invented those died riding one. You knew that.
I think we'd like to thank everyone for coming to the meeting. So
Yes, thank you very much for participating in your government. Have a good evening.
Always something.
That's a little joke that we like to play on Mr. Rudd.
Very little. They say about payback.
Commissioners, Commissioner Brody.
Yes, sir. As always, sir, the calendar is available online at all times, but I'm going to just a brief little up-to-date on what's going on at the Potomac Highlands Airport. As chairman there now, we're kind of heading in a new direction. We had a meeting last Thursday. I had to leave early for. We're working on a new plan, a new future vision plan of the airport. Our master plan is in place, and it's consistent with the ALP of the airport, but we have some very good members working on that. Stephen Spar from FSU come down. He has some very good ideas. He's working very closely with Stu Zapsky, Allegany County Chamber of Commerce, and Mona Ritter from Mineral County Economic Development. As of earlier today, we actually had some new business interests on the airport of starting up a little business, and I'll know more about that here in the next couple weeks. So
good news.
We have all new board members, and we're heading in a very good direction. So hopefully, with the help of the experts from the outside, we'll get this moving forward in the right direction and get some bang for our buck.
Wonderful. Commissioner Valentine.
Just a few quick things. Number one, I'd like to give personal thanks to Dan and Angie for what they're doing with the tree planting program. It's helping the county meet our TMDL levels, and it's given students some much needed training on environmental matters, and Dan did a really great job putting it together. And as he said, I was at the JC field, and it was good to see, you know, the students definitely put in a good day's work planting those trees. And then yesterday, I had the honor of spending some time with Del McCory and the people on his team here, getting ready for the Del Fest that happens at the end of this month. They expect that festival to bring about 32,000 people into the county this year. Of course, they won't all be in place at one time, but that's still 32,000 visitors to our county. Plans that the festival keeps growing. There's plans to have the people with the just one-day tickets parking off-site, which gives more room for more tents, more camping. So it's a growing festival. Changes made every year, and it's something real good for the county.
Wonderful.
Very good.
Wonderful. Okay, we have Dr. Jean Bayless, who has signed up for constituents. Doctor?
I'm the only one.
Well, yeah, we cleared everything out, so yes, ma'am.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi. My name is Jean Bayless, and I'm president of our local Allegheny County Conservative Tea Party Caucus. We have a little logo and everything, plus the website. It's AlleganyTeaParty.com. So the purpose of my coming today, commissioners, is basically to discuss ICLEIs, ICLEIs with you. We recently had a roundtable discussion on Agenda 21 that was led by our vice president, who isn't here tonight, and I'm going to find him after this. But anyway, one of the fundamental units that are used by the United Nations plan, the agenda for world socialist change, is ICLEIs, ICLEIs. So let me just continue. The term ICLEI is brief for International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives. ICLEIs are fundamental units through which the United Nations on a local level effect creeping socialism change via the United Nations Agenda 21. Agenda 21, there's the first page of a 300-page manual, and I have a copy of this for you, commissioners. Nice fiery red, blazing orange, so that it's good to affect your emotions. Basically, the concept of sustainable development, which is a key phrase for Agenda 21, is the founding principle of Agenda 21, was first introduced in 1987 by a German, last name of Brundtland. He was then vice president, this is key, of the World Socialist Party. He introduced sustainable development at the United Nations World Commission on Environment and Development in 1987. 5 years later, a commission had been formed by the United Nations, and 5 years later, this commission met, and they held the infamous Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. President George Bush, without going to Congress, without any education to the American people, basically signed on to Agenda 21. It's over 300 pages. The smart growth was basically one of the immediate results as a catchphrase, some of you might remember a few decades ago, that came out of this initial enterprise. In 1995, President Clinton issued Executive Order 12858, I gotta get my glasses out here, which created the Council on Sustainable Development to harmonize U.S. environmental policy with the UN directive of Agenda 21. So this is the United Nations basically getting into our local, county, state, and federal governments. Federal government resources were directed to work with state and local government to reinvent government as per Agenda 21. By 2002, this council had a guidebook in every town in the United States. That guidebook is entitled Growing Smart Legislative Guidebook for Planning and Management of Change. Even in our town, as seen on our Alcanet website, one can find our own community plan. We didn't have the intricacy of community planning as we do now. And I just reviewed that last night. Apparently our county, based on our community plan that was reviewed with your planner in, I think, January 2013, 83% of our county is in natural resources. So it's a humongous amount that's already in natural resources. Presently, 600 to 700 cities in the United States participate with ICLEIs, ICLEIs. Alabama and Georgia are two states that have passed legislation. There's another state out west, I forget the name of it, that basically forbid Agenda 21 reforms. Our state obviously is run by the progressive Democrats right now, and we are not preventing anything in relation to Agenda 21. We're kind of doubling down on recent legislative actions, which you're probably aware of. There is some good news, however, because there's also about 600 to 700 ICLEIs that have been defeated from implementation by local government agencies. So the point we have to you is, and what we want to find out is, because of the fact we reviewed many articles, many times taxpayers are totally unaware if ICLEIs are being funded by us. And it might be knowing or even unknowing to you. So are you aware of any ICLEIs that you're funding? They come in different terminology. Again, vision has been used here tonight. Often vision is in the term involved with an ICLEI. It is something that Agenda 21 people have kind of rephrased and gotten away from the term ICLEI because of the fact that that's become on the marker for people to, fight against. What are the fundamental changes of Agenda 21? Land use restrictions, evidenced by Senate Bill 236 recently here in Maryland, which is the Maryland Septic Bill. This is restriction of land development, particularly in rural Maryland. What is the fundamental principle of Agenda 21? Actually, it is written, and there is a wildlife map that you can find on the website, stopagenda21maryland.org. There is a CEO by the name of Grant Harley, I think Harley or Halvey. He's going to be speaking to our group in August at our meeting. He's a retired engineer VP of Verizon. So this land map, wild map of Agenda 21 has 50% of the United States by the year 2050 being converted back to the wild, where only animals shall touch and man will not be allowed to touch. Now, this has been something that has been doubled down on significantly in Europe. The European Union, as you know, a socialist concept, is very instrumental. You can find certain bridges in Canada, probably in America. We have the infamous Turtle Bridge that we, through our stimulus, basically built where only turtles are allowed to walk on out west somewhere. And here is a picture, and I was on a tour in Poland. Everyone's sleeping on the bus. This is last July. And basically, the tour guide woke us up. She had been talking to us about what it was like in Poland growing up under communism and what it's been like, the good and the bad, and the controversy with Poland being basically brought into the European Union. I'm not trying to talk about my vacation, but she woke us all up because we had to look at this picture, this is on your last page, of this bridge. Millions of dollars were spent by the European Union. There are two in Poland. And they go over new interstates that are being developed. So good that they're getting some development, but only animals are to walk on these bridges. And if man is found there, they just go to prison. Those were her words. So this is not for cows, you know, that farmers are taking from one side to the other. This is for only wild animals. So if you're talking about government taxpayer dollars and what they're being spent for, we want to just let you become aware of the principles of Agenda 21. I'm sure you already are, you guys are pretty well read. But are we finding any ICLEs? That's what we're trying to find out.
I don't believe we are, but I will get back with you.
Okay.
And find the ICLEs or pricklies. Or
Okay.
What you may find is some may be buried in some of the unfunded mandates.
And that's what we need to check out
all the time.
See what the state has,
That's exactly
has
right.
made us do.
That's exactly right.
regardless.
And it's my understanding with this Senate Bill 236, which is the infamous septic bill, that we commend you highly, and we are very glad to have your leadership. I think, was it you, Commissioner McKay, I'm not quite sure, who basically started the Maryland Coalition of Rural Counties, because this is the way that we can basically, you know, fight these 5 counties that are controlling the state. You know, in regards to the septic bill, we went into a little discussion with that, and our lecturer in August is certainly more attuned to this information than I am, and I hope you can attend. But basically, this phrase is in the septic bill. Now, if this is an Agenda 21, undertake land management to develop green corridors where only animals shall roam is in the septic bill. The septic bill has 4 different tiers, tier 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 are areas where there'll be no private septic systems, period. That's my understanding, and that's very typically right around the land where people own all this land, and this is their private property, and their ability to develop it has just been demolished. And that's from the regarding of private development of your own land. What tier is our county in?
Well, we have all 4 tiers.
Okay, okay.
You have to develop all 4 tiers.
Okay.
Because there's a tier that is municipal water and sewer, one where you plan to have municipal water and sewer, but a large majority of our county is tier 4.
Okay, tier 4.
Tier 4.
Because of our amount of